Thank you. Thank you. It's my pleasure to introduce to you that don't know her, the Reverend Dr. Ruth Miller. Her today talk, thank you, yes. No islands unto ourselves, just one field of being. Ruth Miller.
Thank you. Thank you. Whew. Okay, we changed the machine. Tech, isn't it great? Did it do it?
Nope.
Didn't do it. Try it again.
There you go.
Yay! Which computer is the projector talking to?
There's only one.
One field of being. Oh my goodness. We have a new mic.
Very nice.
Yes. It's marvelous. And some of that is because we are such an interdependent group of folks, and it's lovely. All right, so we are part of the Unitarian Universalist Association, and our seventh principle is that we promote our participation in the interdependent web of life. And I went online just to get a graphic for this. When you say web of life or ecosystem on the internet, on Google, you will find these lovely images. There's someone missing. Isn't that interesting? I could not find a single web of life ecosystem or biosphere that included us. I think maybe. What I did is put a title on this food structure. Okay, they call it a food web, but it's a structure. You know, we are at that very, very, very top. And we eat almost everything down below, and we'll be eating more of what's down at the bottom here pretty soon. But yeah, it's we're not participating very directly in most of this web, right? Just to be aware of that. But it is something to be totally engaged with, because this is an interdependent, interconnected web. And we're going to hear someone else say that too in a few moments. We also have an interdependent set of relationships with our family and with our friends, and that involves certain qualities. Now, you guys can't see the screen, can you? You can? Okay.
I can see through you.
You can see through me, all right.
I don't need that. I need to hear you.
Oh, you're good. Right, and these qualities, these characteristics of interdependence are different from those of dependence, which we'll look at in a bit. But engaging and responding to each other is a huge part of being interdependent. Yeah? Yeah. A lot of us in COVID got in the habit of curling up in a corner and staying there. And that is not honoring this interdependent web of which we are part. So we want to be aware that we are interacting with many people for our well-being. It's part of being a mammal, particularly being human. And our sense of self is healthy, whatever you call your sense of self. You can call it an esteem or not. And then these others, being open, active listening, taking time for our own personal interests, not just focusing on what their interests are. How many of us had to learn that lesson late in life? Yeah. It's, most women in our culture are trained not to have any personal interests, right? We're all about taking care of everyone else. And then that clear communication, And there's this whole movement called nonviolent communication. And basically, it's just clear. It's clear without putting blame on anyone else. Yeah. And because we're taking responsibility and creating safety. So that's the interdependent web of our relationships. And Stephen Covey is the one who really got people talking about this in our culture, really, because he tried to help us see the difference between being dependent on someone being totally independent, which most people in our culture in America got because our high school teachers didn't read the essay Self-Reliance accurately. Because if you read Emerson's essay, Self-Reliance, appropriately, he's talking about reliance on the inner self, not reliance on one's physical being. Self-reliance is learning to rely on that higher power that Catherine mentioned earlier, realizing that it's in our beingness as ourself. So we have a whole several generations, about 100 years, of folks who grew up being told, you have to be independent and self-reliant and pull on your cowboy boots or something like that, and get out there and do it for yourself, yeah? No. It's not I, it's not me. And Ken Wilber talks about this, the difference between living from I and me to shifting to we and us. Recognizing that I am unique within the whole, but I'm part of a whole. And that's one of the things we get to experience in here. And it is so lovely, isn't it? We're all independent beings, interdependent in certain aspects of our lives. Yes. So, Stephen Covey's 7 Habits, if you want to go refresh on that. Then there's interdependent in the workplace. And this has just emerged in the last really 20 years. People are realizing, oh my goodness, I'm not an isolated, independent being at work. So they identified 4 ways that we can be interdependent. Can be, as opposed to are already, right? And one of them is when we pool our resources so we can get out and do something. Another one is when we, I do what I do, when you do what you do, and he does what he does, and we get it all done, right? And then there's that reciprocal. Well, I can do this if you do that. If you get, we can exchange. And that usually happens less often in teams than between organizations. And then what they're calling comprehensive interdependence, recognizing that everything I do depends on everyone in this place. And that's a model that I was working with, we won't say how many decades ago, when I was doing organizational development, when I encouraged especially small companies to pay the receptionist as much as the CEO. Yeah? All right. But then we can get into this idea of global interdependence. And I'm going to play a video that is a little harsh. Just accept that. Okay, where's my mouse? There's the mouse. First, we have to make it through the commercial. Yeah. I've told it 3 times to start it.
Politics Instructional Video Series. In these videos, we are exploring some of the key concepts and ideas in the study of global politics and international relations. Today, we're looking at interdependence. And interdependence is an important concept for us in a number of different ways. First of all, it's a key component of political liberalism, one of the main theories of international relations. Second, the whole idea of interdependence is wrapped up with this notion of a globalizing world. So the whole idea of globalization is a big part of this discussion. And another reason why interdependence is so significant is that liberals tend to argue that a more interdependent world will be a more peaceful world and a more prosperous world. And I think we don't like that. So why don't we have a look at this idea? Okay, interdependence. Now, there are a lot of definitions of interdependence, and you can look up and use any one you like, but we are going to define interdependence as the mutual connectedness and dependency of states and non-state actors. And this definition is revealing in a number of different ways. a very big part of the liberal school of international relations. And what I'm going to describe to you today is very much how liberal theorists see the world. So let's draw a system. So here's our international system. I'm going to populate it first with a number of states of varying size and power. And the first notable thing about interdependence and the liberal theory of interdependence is the idea that, first of all, states are not the only actors. And that's significant because the idea is that there are a number of different types of actors that are important in global politics, not just the state. So, for example, they argue that multinational corporations are very important and need to be represented in our view of the international system. So I'll just go draw a number of multinational corporations for us here. And
Little
I will
boxes.
represent multinational corporations with a square box. Another actor of importance are non-governmental organizations, or NGOs. And these are not-for-profits, professional associations, and so on, that also have very important roles in global politics. Amnesty International, for example, or Greenpeace come to mind. I'll represent NGOs with a triangle. So we also have NGOs as actors in the international system. And then lastly, there are a whole series of international institutions in global politics. The European Union, the United Nations, the International Coffee Association, and a whole variety of them. And I'll represent those with a star. So here are some of our institutions of various kinds. And so you have a system that's populated with more than just states. You have states and non-state actors being important in the system. And the whole idea, then, is that all of these actors are interconnected in some way. And they're interconnected through a variety of channels. Trade, financial flows, travel, and communications. And taken together, all of these means or ways in which actors are interconnected in the international system, trade, finance, travel, and communications, mean that the international system is characterized by a web of interconnected relationships. All of these actors are connected to each other in this complex, ever-shifting, ever-growing international network of states and non-state actors.
All right.
Trade flows, financial flows, people traveling by planes.
Yeah, we got it. All right, so he goes on to say that that's the liberal point of view. But realists say that each one of those states is isolated and is fighting for resources with the others, and then Marxists say that it's all about power. Everyone's trying to get power over everyone else. That's a fascinating perspective, and I don't buy it. For what it's worth, because all the evidence in the sciences say all of that is happening out of the interacting web of consciousness, of minds, of beingness that we are. All the sciences are telling us that. So if we look at the quantum field, if you will, as orderly and is in fact apparently intelligent, because all that emerges out of that field chooses. Isn't that interesting? There is choice at the level of what we call subatomic units. Stuff emerges out of the quantum field and chooses whether to become matter or energy, particle or wave. And most of the time it chooses to become particle in the presence of an observer
and wave when not. Isn't that cool? Right. That is so cool. I mean, when choice is happening at that level, what does that say about consciousness in everything? Right? Yes. So that capacity to choose, which we would call a form of intelligence, is present whether there is a brain or not. And those of you who listen to Noetic Sciences, the Noetic Moments radio show, have heard this more than once. And that intelligence is the source. It is the field out of which everything emerges. Wow. Because it means there is no separation. There can't be. We all are emerging constantly out of the quantum field. It is all one. And we're all going to do different things because we're all unique combinations of matter and energy in unique patterns which make us appear to be separate individuals. Yes, but we aren't. Because it is one whole system. Whether we go back to the web of life, I can't throw something away without affecting the whole world, right? Or we go into this one beingness, I can't have a thought without affecting the whole universe. Woo! Yeah. And one of the things that I've learned over the last few decades is my only discipline is, what am I thinking? Because what I'm thinking, first of all, is affecting my physical and emotional experience, but it's radiating out because thought is energy. It's moving out there. We can measure it. People are measuring it all the time. So we are always interacting, whether we want to believe we are isolated beings fighting for resources or not. Wow. Yeah. So once we begin to get that, all forms are emerging from the same substance and are empowered by that whatever it is in that substance that leads to the formation of matter and energy. And I don't know what it's called. There are traditions that say it's impossible to name what it's called, right? Because it's so much bigger than what I can conceive. We are all acting as aspects of that and can't be anything else. I love it when science and spirit come together, don't you? Yes. So, there is no separation. We can never do just one thing. And all of our thoughts and actions resonate across this field, okay? So I'm this unique set of vibrations, and you're this unique set of vibrations, and you're this unique set of vibrations, right? But we're in the same place at the same time, so we're resonating, right? Right? And if I make a change in here, guess what? They get to benefit from it. Isn't that cool? Everyone here. And that's part of why we do the joys and concerns, because we know that as anyone in this room sees and knows that that person is whole and well and healthy and experiencing exactly what the heart desires, then they're far more likely to experience that. And if you want to learn more about that, go study Rupert Sheldrake. So, this is not a new idea. This concept of the interconnectedness and the fact that we affect each other is by no means new. And I have another video.
If your business
Yeah.
then animated videos are the best way.
Yeah.
As nations and individuals, we are interdependent. It really boils down to this, that all life is interrelated. We are all caught
And that was our beloved Martin Luther King. Yes. He was 38 when he gave that talk. Yeah, it's just amazing. Jane Goodall does a similar talk. I wasn't able to find it, but she does a similar thing. You know, if you're trying to drink your orange juice in the morning, or you want to eat your toast, or whatever it is, it's from someone somewhere on some other part of the globe. Now, that isn't going to go on forever, I have to say, because we are shifting from a global food network to more and more local food networks. But nonetheless, it makes the point. We are interrelated. We cannot pretend we are not interdependent at the physical level, and at the political level, and at the social level. We are. And if we allow ourselves to shift from thinking, oh, I have to take care of me. Oh my goodness. No. I get to relax and allow the interdependent web of life, of which I am a part, to flow in and through and around me. And I receive and I give, and all of it moves in this beautiful, beautiful dance. Yes? Yes. Thank you, Ivy. It's not a liberal idea. It's the realization that what is going on at the deepest levels of being are made manifest at every level of being, and must be, can't not be. When I say must, I'm always saying can't not. Yeah? We don't need, much as I so appreciate John Lennon pushing the buttons, we don't need to imagine this, because it is so. What we need to imagine is everyone understanding this and living from it. Right? Absolutely. That's what we can do. That's where we can be. And so we need to hold the intention, hold the vision, hold the idea of the possibility, and in fact, hold it as a reality that all beings know their interconnectedness, and all institutions and layers of social systems are designed and work in that way.
Amen.
Thank you, dear. And as we go forward in this year, 2024, we're going to experience more and more necessity, shall I say, that we hold that intention regardless of the appearances, because there will be appearances that tell us otherwise. Yes, ma'am. And as we allow ourselves to continue to focus on a world of one being, a universe of one being becoming ever more that harmonious order that is shown from the quantum field forward. I love all these new pictures from the Webb telescope, because they're showing us this orderliness has always been in place. It's never been chaotically random. Not once. Not for 1 nanosecond has it ever been chaotically random as we look at the emergence of the whole. Isn't that wonderful? Yes. We don't have to fall into those ways of thinking. We can hold to the deepest understanding, that which our heart has always known. Always known. We've always felt it. But we didn't have the language in our schools and our media, and our governments kept telling us otherwise. Oh, dear, 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 dear. Now we can relax and allow what is, in fact, true to be our experience. For so it is. And so I say, thank you all. I'm going to do meditation. Thank you, dear. There go- I will do a meditation. And after the service, I have some guidelines holding an intention for the next election. So I'll have them up here. Oh, my goodness. Such a treat to be with you.